never thought an allergy could be such a problem. I laughed at girls who sneezed nonstop because of flowers, dust, or any weird things. They had red eyes and swollen noses. Once, I fell in love with a guy named Steve. I thought he was in love with me too. We went to a cafe in the Disneyland. Finally, he bought 2 tickets to the cinema where we were going to sit in the back row. Of course I knew that guys invited girls to the cinema to kiss them. That's why I used perfume, brushed my teeth, and took a few chewing gums to freshen up my breath. The first kiss in my life. It was very romantic and exciting. During the first 5 minutes, Steve watched the movie, but then he put his arm around my shoulders and tilted his head to me. His hand slowly and romantically turned my face to his hot lips. My heart fluttered, and I had butterflies in my stomach. When his hot and wet tongue penetrated my mouth, I suddenly sneezed. I could not either foresee or stop the sneeze. It was like an explosion with a 10-meter radius. And, to my shame, I noticed my sputum on Steve's face. I sneezed 6 more times until I reached the exit from the cinema hall. Steve never called me after that happened, but his friend, Johnny, started calling me and trying to ask me for a date. I was so shocked for the whole week, but as time passed, I figured out the cause of the sneezing. I got too stressed out that day about the relationship and the upcoming kiss, so this reaction of my body no longer seemed to me as abnormal. I decided I deserved another chance and agreed to go on a date with Johnny. I acted freely and pertly with Johnny. We laughed at all jokes. I said I wanted to pee if I was going to the toilet. Once I even blew my nose into a handkerchief, showing that this process was quite natural. He accepted that and played along, so he saw that I didn't pretend and that I felt okay about all natural processes. One day, we were lying on a sofa eating popcorn at his house. He started throwing flakes at me and we laughed at that. Then, he tried to feed me from his mouth. I understood what was on his mind. He was planning to begin with innocent games, move to gentle touching, and then go to bed with me. But this wasn't really what troubled me. I was afraid to sneeze at him during a kiss. I really tried to relax. At first, he fed me from his hands. Then he took a few flakes by his lips and put those into my mouth. I accepted the flakes and chewed them. Then again and again. I didn't feel the sneeze coming. Johnny put the popcorn away and kissed me. My body reacted with plenty of butterflies in my stomach. I kissed him back, and it was so good. Johnny was a handsome guy, especially when he styled his hair with gel. That made him look like a member of Sicilian mafia. I could fall in love with him and have a few kids with him, then we would buy a huge pickup and would go traveling. The images were still in my head when something inside me blasted. Electricity went through me for a millisecond, and I couldn't understand what was happening. I opened my eyes and saw Johnny's face, covered in chewed popcorn mixed with my sputum. We had had too little romance in our relationship, and now it was completely destroyed. Johnny was the first to run to the bathroom. I wiped my face with a napkin and stayed waiting for him to return. At this moment, a text came to Johnny's telephone. I automatically opened it and read it. It was from Steve, and it wasn't the first one. He kept asking Johnny, "Well, bro, kissed her already?" His earlier message read, "Bro, it'll be awesome. She kisses like a vacuum cleaner. It's fantastic. An explosion, bro." Steve played Johnny and me. What a jerk! Johnny left the bathroom as if nothing had happened. I moved to the bathroom without saying anything. When he suddenly took my hand, he looked into my eyes, trying to find even a spark of romance or love in them. Then he started laughing. He screamed and roared with laughter, but didn't release my hand even for a second. When he was back to his senses, he looked at me with warm eyes and put his arms around me. He said he loved me. He said we had lots of funny and natural moments during these days. We had spitting contests, created bubbles in the pool, covered our vomit with sand after the roller coaster. He said my sneeze was nothing. I put my head on his shoulder and cried with happiness. Since then, we have been a happy couple and we are going to marry. I will have children with him, buy a huge pickup and set off for a trip across the states or even abroad. Stop. Those were the fantasies in my head which I created while I was waiting for him leaving the bathroom. I don't know what will happen when he returns. This is the story that happened to me because of an allergy to kisses. If you feel sorry for me, click the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe to this channel. By the way, when Johnny left the bathroom, he acted in the same way that I had fantasized before that. So, I'm happy.
I've been walking with a splinter in my skull for almost a month because of CIPA. You know, there are people in the world who do not feel pain, flame, or cold. They don't feel any taste. Not feeling pain is a hereditary pathology. One of these people is me, and I can't feel how cold or sweet the ice cream is. My disease is genetic, and there aren't many people like that in the world. My grandfather was sick with this disease, and now it's me. When I was a kid, they didn't know I had CIPA. Everyone just knew that I didn't feel any pain, and they hadn't especially taken me to clinics. One day, when I saw my little brother being beaten up at school, I got into a fight with adult guys trying to protect him. They attacked us immediately and all at once. I covered his head with my body. Those guys didn't know I was insensitive to pain, and at some point in the fight, they got scared and ran away. And I, feeling like a hero, chased after them. My brother was pointing at me in shock, and I asked him, "What?" He pointed at his back and shouted, "Knife!" I grabbed something on my back. It was a knife. I sent my little brother home and started to call an ambulance myself. After, I can't remember anything. I came to my senses at the hospital. The doctor said that everything was fine, but I've been treated there for about a month. Only there I was finally diagnosed with congenital insensitivity to pain with anhidrosis, CIPA. And to make sure that I didn't feel anything, they slapped me with a rubber band, knocked on my body with a hammer, and pinched the wound after its adhesion. When they made sure I didn't feel anything, they came to the above diagnosis. After that, the parents consulted and decided to move to a safer city, away from the bad guys. But even here, my misfortunes have not diminished. I suffered a lot because of my mischief, because I would often break my arms and legs or get cuts in my body parts. When my fever was rising, my mother would take me straight to the clinic. It's really dangerous to live with this pathology. For the outside observer, nothing is visible. They think that I'm just a normal, healthy boy. But there's no telling at one point my organs might refuse. One day, while skating, I hit the boutique window pretty hard. I wanted to get up, but people who were around me screamed. I could feel a splinter sticking out of the base of my skull. At the clinic, the doctors removed the fragment and, after stitching up the wound, sent me home. But my wound had been bleeding for another month. Only after repeated x-ray, a small shard of glass was found in the skull. If it wasn't for the bleeding, I probably would have lived with a glass splinter. I had a lot of accidents during my school years, and now I'm a graduate and I keep a close eye on my health. I'm thinking about going to med school this year. But if I don't feel pain myself, can other people trust me? I have a personal doctor who looks after my health. He advises me on my disease. Sometimes it is very stressful for me because I have to measure my temperature twice a day, take my blood pressure, and often have to take blood tests. Of course, my mother helps me, but what about the future? How am I gonna handle it? I don't know. I'm waiting for your advice. What medical discipline should I choose? Or maybe I should choose a completely different specialty?
My name is Naomi, and I'm 14 years old. 3 years ago, we moved into a large and bright apartment where this story began. At night, when I fell asleep, a woman appeared before me. She had terrible green eyes. I was scared. I couldn't move. After a while, she left, and I fell asleep. Instantly, I decided not to talk about it because my parents would think it was crazy. Over time, I began to hear rustles, footsteps, often saw black shadows from afar. I thought that I had gone crazy, but I kept silent. And there were friends I could tell, but I am a loner in my life. I experienced it all on my own. It peaked when I was 13, when a black shadow punched me in the ear. That's when I freaked out and told my mom. But she wasn't surprised at all. Turns out I was a point of contact. My 2 generations on Daddy's And Mom's lying. Put bluntly, my great-grandmothers were witches, and all their power had to come to me. By the way, Mom is also a witch, but she didn't want to have magical powers because it is a very big responsibility. On the contrary, I was drawn to everything magical. I confessed it to my mother. She was happy. Soon, I was given an initiation rite. It was very creepy, especially when they called my great-grandmother. The same woman came that disturbed my sleep. She opened my mouth and spit there a few times, thus giving me magical powers. It turns out that I have a particularly developed magic of telekinesis. I can move objects and magnetize mental. Although we are witches, we must use magic for useful purposes. My great-grandmother gave me a very strict warning about this. The first thing I tried was to move flatware to my side during lunches. Wow, that was awesome. I wasn't reaching across the table for a spoon or sugar, and the TV remote was always hanging next to me like a flying puppy. Sometimes I'd lie on the couch and control the vacuum cleaners and rags during cleaning. Then I started punishing bad boys at school. Tied their shoelaces together on their sneakers. They were just crashing in the hallway. That was a laugh. And the snowballs they threw at the girls hit the high schoolers right on the head. That's how I had fun spending my magic left and right. One evening, I was sitting at home alone. I decided to watch TV. I attracted the remote control, but it banged hard on my forehead. Oh, I overdid it, I thought. I drew near a cup of popcorn, but it flew over my head for a long time and tipped over on me. Oops, that's not funny anymore. I wanted to call my mom, but my smartphone jumped under the bed. Then my chair bounced up and started flying around the room without stopping. I squealed and clinked to the back of my chair with all strength. I called for help and prayed and cried. It all went on for a long time. Then I was thrown onto the bed by some force and pressed so hard that my eyes almost burst, and I heard the squeaky voice of my great-grandmother. Oh, you scum! You were given strength for important things. Not nonsense. I'll turn you into a worm if you don't come to your senses. Then everything stopped. I woke up from my own whispering. Forgive me, great-great-grandmother, forgive me. Mom sat next to me and smiled. Only now, I understood why she didn't want to be a witch. That's my whole story. If you suddenly want to be a witch, take it a little more seriously.